großen Turnieren an. Die aktuelle 88 der Welt. Bam Bam, Bradley Brooks. Für den Gegner von Bradley Brooks ist dieses Jahr 2019 sein erstes auf dem PDC-Circuit. Ein großes Gesicht bei der BDO, WM-Finalist von 2018, zweimal stand er im Finale des World Masters und jetzt seit diesem Jahr ist er hier bei uns und wir freuen uns, dass er da ist. Der Gladiator Mark McGeeney!
Ich will eure Fantasie, ich will eure Energie, ich will eure Hände sehen, in Beifall untergehen. Hört ihr mich? Könnt ihr mich hören? Könnt ihr mich sehen? Könnt ihr mich fühlen? Ich verstehe euch nicht. Könnt ihr mich hören? Könnt ihr mich sehen? Könnt ihr mich fühlen? Ich verstehe.
Game 2 at the European Darts Matchplay 2019 here in Mannheim, and they've come all the way to Germany for a Lancashire derby. Bradley Brooks, who resides in Blackburn, against Stockport's Mark McGeeney. After we've seen the first match go all the way, Bolton's Scott Taylor winning that 1-6-5, so we are guaranteed to get a couple of Lancashire lads into the second round from the first couple of matches. But which one from this one? Paul Nicholson joins me, Chris Murphy, and we're about to find out.
Well, let's just get it out the way, Chris. Good afternoon, everybody, and it's about time somebody walked on to a proper tune. Mark McGeeney, I do salute you, sir, because you do have a fabulous taste in music. A little bit of Rammstein in Germany, it's about time somebody did that. He's just blown the lid off that glass ceiling. But who will be lighting this game up?
Will we be hearing the tune again? That's the question, Paul, isn't it?
Well, we heard Der
First leg,
Kommissar
Bradley to throw first. Game on.
for Mensah Sudovic a couple of times last Sunday night, and that was pretty impressive stuff. But what's also very impressive is this young man, Bradley Brooks, on form.
100.
Obviously got to the final of the Champion of Champions event a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we know what kind of confidence that's given players in the past. This might sap some of it out of him, though.
180.
Yeah, great start from McGeeney. See, that's what happens when you walk out of Rammstein. That's all I'm saying.
60.
You know how I harp on about, good shirts and good tunes? Well,
We've got both here, haven't we, on different players?
well, he's not missing.
140.
Bet you didn't know that Bedrock was in Lancashire.
Ah, see where you're going with that.
But that should be his walk-along, shouldn't it?
59.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not on board with that one. I don't mind a bit of
Cheese.
You've got cheese in the second game, bacon in the first game. Come on, Chris. Are you hungry?
Look at this.
138.
Mark McGeeney. He's rarely missing that treble 20. Finds himself on 43 after 9 darts against the throw, and Bradley Brooks very, very quickly
51.
will be realising what he's up against.
43.
I don't get to where Mark was in the world rankings in the BDO without being a very handy
Games
starter
from
of
the
matches.
first
And it doesn't
leg.
get
Mark
much better
McGeeney.
than that 11 darter.
Second leg, Mark to throw
Well,
first.
we know what
Game
to
on.
make of his first leg, Paul, but what do you make of his first season in the PDC?
Very interesting one. I think it's a conversation that has to be had. I think because of the way that people have come from the BDO
100.
and exploded within their first PDC season, it's almost been an impossible task for Mark McGeeney. But we talked about this off the air, and it's
140.
been a steady year without any massive explosions, but he has had a couple of good runs, and the mark of a good first season for me is making the World Championships, and at this point in time, he is there.
83.
Yeah, we're very, very likely to do that. And obviously, Glenn Durrant has been the crown jewel in the new intake from the BDO. But we did see the likes of Scott Baker,
96.
for example, burst onto the scene, and he's not really followed it up. McGeeney, I think steady is the right word, has carried on at a reasonable level all season.
It's very difficult sometimes for
36.
players who played within the BDO system for so many years to come over to this side of the sport and all of a sudden have to play in different venues all the time, play in
117.
different types of games all the time, because obviously the BDC play best of 11 all the time, and also to play in qualifiers, to go to tournaments. You don't go to tournaments to then play in the event. You have to qualify to get there.
Bradley, you require
That's a real mental hurdle you've got to
148.
get over, and I think McGeeney's starting to really get the hang of it.
Interesting. Bradley Brooks, for those who
78.
haven't noticed, he uses the Simon Whitlock Allen key points.
I was just going to ask you about that. It looked not as round as it should have been, potentially.
A slight. Sounds like there's some kind of music being played onto the stage. The referee sorting it out. And now the noise is coming from the crowd, orchestrated by Mark McGeeney.
Maybe it's the next step. Music during games. That seems to have relaxed McGeeney. Pressure's on Brooks
137.
now.
Bradley requires 70.
To break back.
Well, both players seem to have seen the funny side.
Games from the second leg. Bradley Brooks.
But when the music stopped, it was
Third
McGeeney
leg,
left like a
Bradley
statue
to
as
first.
Brooks
Game on.
cleaned up the finish and levelled the match, breaking straight back, a very similar trend to the opening match. Exciting young talent, isn't he, Brooks?
Yeah, we had a little bit of a laugh with him a
100.
couple of hours ago, didn't we, about a pun that was made about Bradley earlier in the season. And he said that since then he's been teased about it, but we are not going to renege on it.
96.
Because we said that Bradley is probably the only player on the circuit that has a dart that weighs more than he does. He is a thin lad, and there's nothing wrong with that.
43.
Makes you more aerodynamic and speedy. And that's the thing about the game, the image is changing with these young stars coming through. The likes of Ryan Meikle, which we will see next.
83.
You know, young lads who want to take care of themselves and promote a very good modern example for the next generation after those.
120.
Just heard from that Bradley Brooks throw that Dart 3 just clattered into those flights and didn't have a chance to stick in the board.
But just going back to the point about the points, I'm assuming that Bradley gets the points from Simon Whitlock, because as far as I know, he's the only person in the
100.
world that whittles dart points from Allen keys.
You would assume so. If you look at one of the badges on his shirt, he has got the same management company as Simon, so it makes sense.
56.
I've known Bradley a couple of seasons. He's a great young lad. Conducts himself very, very well. And I met him in an exhibition a couple of
82.
years ago in Oldham. And he dispatched Mr. Van Barneveld that night. And was then involved in a ding-dong with Darryl Fitton after that.
100.
He's
Mark, you
used
require
to mixing with
140.
these big hitters. Being a former JDC European champion, of course, he's one of the best products of that system. And only just misses out on the collision that he needed with the top of that dart, McGeeney,
116.
to give himself a shot
Bradley
at double
require
10, and
82.
Bradley can hold here.
Bullseye first. 17. Double top.
Game
Nicely
from the
done
third
from Bradley
leg.
Brooks.
Bradley Brooks.
Consecutive
Fourth
combination
leg mark 2,
checkouts.
so first.
70
Game
and
on.
82 to turn the tie on its head. And
Well-
shown maturity there in those last couple of legs from a man who was born this millennium.
You're depressing me, Murph.
95.
More often this is happening. We started talking a couple of years ago about Nico Blum from Germany, Flower Power, one of the best nicknames in darts. And we're getting more players coming through
96.
to this stage who were born in this millennium. We had Adam Gaulas last week from the Czech Republic. What a young player he is. He was only 17. So he was born in
125.
That's a perfect angle for Bradley to just see. It's just a little bit of... Oh, well,
60.
He's hitting the flights on the way through. Nothing to do with the board there. Just throw them from the middle of the barrel so it gets a little bit of a wibble in the air and takes some of the pace off. Whereas with McGeeney, goes in very flat and he doesn't have that problem.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic
35.
that we don't seem to have in many other sports, is that the difference in technique. The PDC are running a very good feature on the YouTube channel at the moment, My Throw, which sees Rod Harrington analysing the throws of the players while they're actually on the hockey throwing. It's actually Whitlock was the most
57.
recent feature of that. And, I mean, it's very difficult to find two players who throw anything like the same. The same fundamentals are there.
Yeah, dart throws like a fingerprint.
98.
You'll never find one exactly the same. I mean, no one's ever going to throw like Jockey Wilson again. No one's ever going to throw like Richie Burnett.
Well, perhaps not as effectively if they do try to employ that kind of style.
64.
I wouldn't recommend it. You might get yourself a bit of a shoulder or back injury, depending on how you mimic. Yeah, but McGeeney doesn't really throw the darts. He floats them in.
58.
And the fact that he can throw that thin barrel with that short stem and that small tailor-like kite flight, I mean, try and throw those things. Very,
80.
very difficult, but there's more darts on the floor
Mark,
for Bradley there.
90.
That keeps happening. It's going to cost him this match. McGeeney didn't even entertain the idea of the 54 there, but it's bullseye and it's beautiful. Absolutely central.
Like Bradley to throw first.
And McGeeney is showing class there to equalise.
Yeah, backed himself to bend the ball and did just
97.
that. This time Brooks's dart just does stay in.
You can see the flex of that dart when it hits the board. There's a little wobble in it when it hits the board. With McGeeney's, there's nothing.
125.
They're coming in at such a steep angle for Bradley that he is going to get some sort of, well, interference in the air, and the darts just wobble a bit.
Giving him
43.
a workout as well, isn't he, as he races up the hockey. He has to be fleet of foot to retrieve them.
If he was wearing a pedometer, he'd probably have a few thousand steps on there after the course of the day.
97.
Tied it to a piece. Decent quality contest. McGeeney
58.
playing at a very high level, near the 100 average. Neither player has missed a dart at double yet in the match.
125.
Yeah, McGeeney's playing sneaky well here. Got some fans out there as well.
171.
That's more like it, Bradley, and perfectly
154.
executed from 303. That's exactly what you need to do, especially when your opponent's on something like this, but he may not have a say in it.
Well, to win from 20 points behind in the average, the bit that's got to be perfect is the timing.
98.
And that
Bradley
was a perfectly timed assault on the
132.
treble 19 from Brooks. If you can follow it up with two darts in the ball or one after hitting the 57, then McGeeney will be alarmed.
Bradley Brooks.
What a six darts that was.
Mark to throw first. Game on.
There are only two words in the English language that can sum up those 6 darts. World class from Bradley Brooks. Doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how thin you are, doesn't matter where you're from. If you can do that, you are a world class player. And it was just begging to be hit when he hit that 25. It was perfect.
60.
It's as good a layup as Kobe Bryant could have ever given to Shaquille O'Neal. It was perfect.
And Bam Bam gave it the full Bam Bam.
137.
I wonder if when he wins a game he says, "Thank you, ma'am." Well, that's wham bam, isn't it? That's different.
We'll see.
59.
Now the winner of this one gets Wadey, who decided to take last week off and recover from his down under exploits, where he had a couple of defeats to Damon Hedder.
140.
Perfect on doubles from both players in this match. That's what we want to see. That's real pressure being put on the opponents when they get the shot.
Yeah, and the finishing has actually got
95.
better and
Martin
better as the
McGuire,
match has gone on. We've
103.
seen Checkouts of 70, 82, 90 and 132 in the last 4 legs.
Will it continue?
71.
Well, if you're going to miss, it's surely better when your opponent's not on a finish.
The only reason that we didn't see a big combination in the first leg was because McGeeney was on 43 after 9.
140. Mark, you require 32.
So equalise again.
We're going to see hits and misses in clutches here.
Game on the 6th leg. Mark
We
McGeeney
did see
sends leg
3
ready
missed
to
on the
throw
spin,
first.
but not in the same visit from Mark McGeeney.
You mentioned that these guys are pretty local to each other in the northwest of England. I wonder how many times they've played each other in local stuff, local competitions. I would imagine a bucket load. There seemed to be a
45.
bit of friendship before this game started, but it doesn't matter who you play up there, whether it's your best friend, your brother, because we have seen brothers play each other on the European tour.
123.
Well, they were on the same flight from Manchester Airport yesterday. I know because I was on it.
So they'll have had that awkward conversation at baggage claim. Who have you got? I've got you. Saw that last week with Brendan Dolan in the first game of the tournament where he drew Willie O'Connor, and then Willie was sent packing about half an hour later.
81.
I get the feeling that McGeeney has been the more consistent of the scorers, but Bradley's finding a way to just stick with him in that department, and the odd bit of brilliance from Bradley is keeping him in this match.
100.
You're right, Murph. He just cannot wait to get to that hockey. And that's a mark of the young players these days. They play fast. They play furious.
140.
Don't give you time to breathe.
I certainly have played many times locally, but there is no record of a professional bout before this between the pair.
101. Bradley required 57.
If they've never played each other before, I'll be alarmed.
Brooks hasn't missed yet. Has now.
37.
And has a similar
Mark, you require
feel
118.
to the previous leg where McGeeney was allowed to miss a double but then cleaned it when he returned. Will Brooks be allowed to return?
98.
The computer
Bradley
says
requires
yes.
20.
2 10s. Is that a guide?
Game
It
shown on
was,
the 7th
and
leg.
it was used.
Bradley Brooks. 8th leg Mark.
That was like a 7-10 split shot.
Game on.
And he hit the middle eventually. Wow. Love to have seen that one in slow motion. I think that was in off the post.
Yeah, nicely used.
137.
What is it about the northwest of England at the minute? Because you look at certain hotbeds, Stockport, you've got Nathan Aspinall, you've had Daryl Fitton, you've had Tony O'Shea,
98.
Mark McGeeney. I could go on and on about Stockport until probably the end of this session. Then you look at further into Lancashire, the likes of Dave Chisnell, who lives in Morecambe. You've got Ronnie
97.
Baxter, Paul Williams. Tremendous pedigree. We could even go to people like Alan Glazier. And then the St Helens part of the northwest,
58.
which is obviously Merseyside. Then you're talking Bunting, Chisnell, Michael Smith. The list goes on and on. It's such a hotbed of darts in northwest.
Yeah, the northwest and the northeast at the moment, the two standout ones in
100.
Yeah, northeast is
UK.
doing well. Yeah, Callan Ridds, Chris Dobie.
Ryan Joyce, who's in this tournament,
Correct.
one against John Henderson.
177.
afternoon,
Mark,
once
you
again,
require
Good
167.
visit from Brooks. It gets him a point behind McGeeney, but not on a checkout, crucially.
Great darts from
131.
McGeeney. It's a lovely reply, and even though Bradley isn't on a finish, that just sends a little message to Brad, saying no matter what you do, I've got an answer for you.
92. Mark, you require
This is
56.
the double that cost him Lakeside. Same result. Same result.
Well, Bradley
28.
Brooks has been handed a gift-wrapped opportunity here
Bradley, you require 76.
to really put this tie in his favour. If he can take out this combo, he'll be throwing for the match.
Games from the 8th leg, Bradley Brooks.
Quality. That's all you can say.
9th leg,
Now,
Bradley
initially,
to throw first.
If that dart
Game on.
at the 60 was probably a centimetre higher, he might have gone another one for double 18. Because his eyes stayed up there for an extra half a second. But he had to go 16 for tops.
92.
But got to ask you the question. He's on double 18. Is there some mental scoring there from Lakeside not winning it when he had 3 darts to beat Durrant? Because I can say from my own personal circumstances that when I have 56 left, I always think of the World Cup.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to turn it back around and say, you know, as a dart
58.
player standing on the stage, do those kind of things come into your head? You can't control what you think, can you? You can work on that and try and not have that kind of thing appear in your head. But I'm sure there are doubles for different reasons that each player will actively try and avoid.
Well, dart players are stubborn, Murph.
Well, the only way to get
95.
round it is to go through it and eventually hit it so many times that you forget all the times that you missed it.
Correct. And McGeeney's doing a very good job here, starting
140.
a charge which requires 2 breaks of throw. It's a really weird game, this, because it feels to me like McGeeney's been the better player.
But he has. His level has been
134.
around that 100 mark all
46.
match. As we see if he can clean this up. Yeah, it won't be
Games from the 9th
going
leg.
to double 18 this time. Tops does the job and he'll throw to level up and force a decider. But yeah, it's been around that 100 mark. It's actually just gone almost to 103 now. But Brooks' average, even though it is far, far inferior to that of his opponent, it's been rising as the match has gone on.
60.
Yeah, it's like a Wadey type performance, isn't it? And Wadey gets the winner. It's almost like it was just meant to be. But the double stats, I would say that's very, very impressive.
The timing and the finishing, that's it. That's the reason that Bradley Brooks is 1 ahead and 1 away.
You'd think that Mark McGeeney would be very well versed in this type of scenario.
140.
How many times in the BDO in early stages of tournaments would he have been 2-0 down in needing to win 3 straight? And he will have done it on many occasions. Same scenario here.
133.
5-3 down. Still need to win 3 straight. He looks very focused right now. He's got the lead. If he can get trebles.
Also, don't forget that Bradley Brooks played
96.
a lot of matches over a short format. The Champion of Champions, where he reached a final. I believe he missed darts to win the first leg in the final as well.
180.
Best visit of the match, scoring-wise, for Bradley Brooks. And what did you say? Timing.
Yeah, that was grouping and timing. That was Whitlock-esque grouping, wasn't it? But the timing, sublime, and it's given him time to seal the deal.
137. Bradley required 48.
I was going to say surely he's got to go for tops because it's been so good to him in this match to dispatch Gladiator. He needs tops. Very close.
38.
Also very close. Those two misses
68.
could cost him, because if McGeeney polishes this, he might not get another dart double in this match.
It's only 1 dart. Top of the shop. To stay in it.
28.
And it's over the top. Does it
Bradley
spell the
required
end?
10.
Double 5. Doesn't want to go inside.
Game
Hasn't gone inside, he's gone straight in it instead.
Bradley
and that is a
Brooks.
very, very impressive performance from Bradley Brooks, because he's managed to record a 6-4 win against an experienced old hand in Mark McGeeney, who averaged over 101.5. It's Bradley Brooks who moves through to the second round to take on James Wade tomorrow, and we'll be back in a few moments with Ryan Meikle.
Bradley Brooks zieht in die zweite Runde ein. Er wird der morgige Gegner von James Wade sein. Und für Mark McGeeney endet die Reise hier in Mannheim in der Maimarkthalle bereits nach Runde 1. Der Gladiator ist raus. Schön, dass hier war. Der Gladiator, Mark McGeeney. Bradley, congratulations. That's a cool win against Mark, huh?
Yeah, Mark's a quality player. I've known Mark for maybe even longer, and he's a class player. When I seen the draw, I weren't happy, but got through it, so happy with that.
Tomorrow James Wade is waiting.
Yeah, obviously.
Next big name.
Yeah, Wade, you know, everyone knows how good Wade is. I'll just come up, same as today, enjoy myself, and if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. Just enjoy myself, really.
How big is playing European Tour for you? You're number 88 in the world. You're playing a lot of development tour events this year.
Oh, it's massive. I've tried qualifying since I won my tour card. This is my first one, so I was so looking forward to it. I've been waiting for weeks for it. Now it's here. I'm happy to win, so I'm really enjoying it, yeah.
That's cool. See you tomorrow again. Thank you very much. Bradley Brooks. Für ihn ist es das erste European Tour Event in seiner Karriere und er freut sich natürlich, dass er diese erste Hürde genommen hat. Und morgen wird er es dann mit James Wade aufnehmen, ohne irgendeinen Druck. Er geht mal rein, er guckt mal, ob es funktioniert. Und er hat es klasse gemacht, auch gerade hier im letzten Leg seine einzige 180 geworfen, die 132